Our other top story of the day, which is the Republican National Convention wrapping up tonight in Tampa, Florida. But last night it was the former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice warning the United States standing in the world is endangered, as she put it. And then Paul Ryan wrapped up the night with a speech accepting the party's vice presidential nomination. With us to talk about that, and maybe look forward to tonight as well, the Texas Republican Congressman Louie Gohmert. Congressman, thank you very much for coming on. What did you think of last night?
Great to be with you. Oh, I thought it was fantastic. And you mentioned Condoleezza Rice. She pointed out what I heard from a West African last year or so who said, look, we were so excited when you elected a black president, but since then we've seen your country getting weaker and weaker. And please tell the people in Washington, we need America strong for the rest of us to have a safe life. Please don't get any weaker. And I think that's the message Condoleezza Rice was giving. And then Paul was fabulous. Of course, he pointed out this president will be on your side, and I thought he could have added, instead of on your back like this administration.
The thing that Paul Ryan did certainly in the second half of his speech, and we've talked about it a number of times this morning, really get the crowd going, and you could see people identifying with what he was saying, which wasn't a surprise. He's very popular in that room, and that's one of the reasons I'm sure that he was put on the ticket. What Condoleezza Rice did is she talked about the ideals of the party. She didn't necessarily identify them with Mitt Romney specifically, but she articulated them very well, and it's receiving, as you just gave it, very, very good reviews across the board. But what about tonight? What does Mitt Romney have to do? I mean, after all, he's the guy at the top of the ticket. How does he make the specific argument that he, personally, should be the next president of the United States? What's the key for you?
Everybody knows, well, most people know about his background, know how successful he's been at everything he's ever done. So really, I think he needs to let this convention, let the country see what we saw in Texas after the primary was over 4 years ago. He came and spoke in Texas. I sat, introduced him, was MC, and I had thousands of people tell me after that, wow, if we had seen that Mitt Romney during the primary, we would have supported him. We just never saw that. So I think if he lets the country see the real guy behind all of that success, they'll be so impressed with him, as Ann Romney has pointed out.
She did that the other night.
Yes, she did.
The idea of making that case, though, as you said, has been a challenge for him throughout. Yeah. And Paul Ryan, he doesn't have that same type of challenge. He came into the night last night with the support of the room. It was there already. You could see it as he walked out. I wonder if that'll be the same, if the feeling in the room will be the same tonight for Governor Romney.
I think the feeling in the room will be the same. People are so anxious for leadership. Heck, I was getting out of a thunderstorm and ended up with a protester. And by the time we finished, we were shaking hands. He's going to give us a call when he gets to Washington. We disagree on a number of things, and he's a staunch Democrat. But there is room for solidarity. People are hungry for leadership, and I think Mitt Romney is going to be giving them that.
Right, and well, it'll be interesting to see what tact he takes. The battle for the undecided voters is something that I think people will pick apart after all this is over. It's one thing to fire up the base, again, as Congressman Ryan did last night. I think it's interesting that this speech is being made in the state of Florida and that the convention is being held there, because if you look at just electoral politics, it's hard to imagine Mitt Romney winning the White House without winning Florida. I mean, I don't know that there's a scenario. There might be. It'd be very difficult. How does he do that tonight? Does he go easier maybe on the immigration issue that he might otherwise if Florida wasn't as close? Or is there a strategy that you can think of that would be conducive to winning that state of Florida, which he needs to do desperately?
Well, I think people have grown so cynical from all the palaver, the promises, the pandering that's been done. So I don't think he needs to do anything but just be straight up, be straightforward and honest. Here's what we're going to do. Because they heard all of the hope and change stuff, and we got the change, and now we need somebody to actually give us the hope. And I think he will do that if he's just honest. As the old saying in Washington, no matter how cynical you get, it's never enough to catch up. People have grown so cynical that I think they would just welcome somebody being honest and saying, this is what we're going to do. We're telling you now, and these are the practical things we're going to do, and you'll be able to judge, not by, great patronizing, but by actually solid leadership going forward. I think they just want candor. They just want leadership, as Chris Christie has proven. And I'm glad we keep inviting Chris Christie to speak, and I'm hoping someday the rest of our leadership will pick up on what he has said. Do what you said. And I think that's what they want to see from Mitt Romney, that this is a guy that's going to not just promise us change, but actually take us in the right direction.
Congressman Gohmert, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
It's great to be with you, Colonel. Thank you.
One of the reasons